Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is our second day's lesson of the GDP and how we measure if an economy is doing well or not. Yesterday, you looked at what goes into a GDP and kind of the very basics of what it is. Today, we're actually going to get more into the nitty gritty of how we actually calculate GDP, because yesterday's was more just introductory. Today's the real how it's actually done. Okay, so just quick recap from yesterday. If you remember, the gross domestic product measures the final dollar amount of all the goods and services that are produced within a country at a time. Okay, now we looked up yesterday that the United States has a GDP of $21.4 trillion. Pretty impressive, right? It is the world's largest GDP. That means every single year, in American dollars, our economy produces $21.4 trillion worth of goods and services. So think of any good that's produced in the United States, any service produced in the United States, add how much all those things are worth, and it equals $21.4 trillion. China is second with $14.1 trillion. Here's the problem, though. That number is inaccurate. Okay? The reason why this number is inaccurate is because of the way it's calculated. Okay? Nominal GDP, what you do, okay, so I'm going to use 2019 as an example, is you take 2019 price and you 2019 quantity of a product times the 2019 price. Okay? Seems simple enough. That gives you your 2019 GDP. So if we had to use an example, okay, let's say of cars. You can even say, let's just do pencils, something really easy. So the 2019 pencils, let's say the United States produced 100 pencils in a year. Multiply that times $1 for each of them, okay, and our GDP would be $100. Okay? Well, let's go to 2020, and I'll show you why there's a problem. So let's say in 2020, the United States does not add any new jobs, we don't expand, and we still make 100 pencils. However, let's say prices are going up. Let's say pencils now are worth $2 times 2. Our GDP now equals $200. Well, here's the problem. The GDP, the gross domestic product, is supposed to measure what is being produced. And based on our measurements of GDP, it looks like the economy has doubled itself. We have gone from $100 of GDP to $200 of GDP. That must mean the economy is 2 times better, which would make it seem like we now have 2 times as many jobs available, 2 times as much income, that the economy is expanding. Well, when you really look at it, though, 100 pencils were made in 2019, 100 pencils were made in 2020, meaning there were no jobs increase, there was no wage increase. The only thing that changed was what the cost of pencils were. That's it. Okay? So, we have a problem. The way that we calculate GDP has 2 variables that kind of throws off what we're measuring. In any good science experiment, you should have 1 variable be a control, something that doesn't change, and 1 variable be the thing that changes. And then that way you can see what is actually happening in the world. We're going to watch this video, and so I don't know how well this is going to play over the speakers. I hope, because I'd like to stop it. If not, I will still post it on there. So if it's really bad, sorry, I'm an old guy and trying to figure all this stuff out, okay? So this guy will explain a little bit of this difference between the problem with what we call nominal GDP.
Is the economy growing? Are people better off today than they were 4 years ago? What about 40 years ago? The GDP statistic can help us to answer all of these questions. But first, we do need to make some modifications. As we discussed in our first video, GDP sums up the prices of all finished goods and services. So that means that there are 2 ways that GDP can increase. First, prices can increase. In this case, the GDP number goes up, but the economy isn't actually producing more goods and services. It's inflation, which is driving the higher GDP. The increase in GDP, it might look good on paper, but it's a mirage, a nominal increase only. The other way that GDP can increase is if we do produce more valuable goods and services. And that could mean simply more goods and services, or better goods and services, more highly valued goods and services. It's this second type of increase in GDP that we want. This isn't a mirage. This is a real increase in GDP. Real GDP measures the second type of growth. And the real GDP statistic, it controls for inflation by adding up all the goods and services produced in an economy using the same set of prices over time, the same set of prices. Real GDP tells us if the prices of goods and services hadn't changed, how much would GDP have increased or decreased? Real GDP, it's typically what we really care about. Let's give an example. We'll be using a fantastic tool called the St. Louis Federal Reserve Economic Database, or FRED. FRED is every economist's best friend. So let's Google U.S. nominal GDP FRED. Here's what we get. We can see that we have grown from a GDP in 1950 of $320 billion to a GDP in 2015 of over $17 trillion. Wow! That suggests that our economy has gotten 55 times bigger. But hold on, wait a moment, you might say. My grandmother told me that a loaf of bread used to cost a dime, and now it costs a couple of dollars. That's right. If we want to compare our economy over time, we need to control for changes in prices. So we don't want to look at nominal GDP. We're more interested in real GDP. So let's Google real US GDP FRED. Here's what we get. This graph measures real GDP in 2009 dollars. That means using 2009 prices. This graph tells us that using 2009 prices consistently, that in 1950, all the goods and services produced at that time were worth about $2 trillion. In comparison, in 2015, all the goods and services produced at that time were worth about $16 trillion. So while nominal GDP says that the economy is 55 times bigger in 2015 than in 1950, real GDP shows us that it's 8 times bigger. That's still pretty good, but a big difference between nominal GDP and real GDP. Okay, so now...
Alrighty, so that kind of gives you a rundown of why it's so important that we distinguish between a nominal GDP and a real GDP. And that real GDP adjusts for inflation and is more accurate. So with that, we are going to go ahead and do a practice problem, and then you will have practice problem for homework, where I will show you how to calculate for your GDP. So here we go. I gave you this chart, 2016, 2017, and 2018 of a country's economy. Okay, so I have made it so that with the quantity and prices here, our country only produces 2 things, iPhones and oranges. Okay, so with that, I gave you how much was produced in quantity versus how much the price of those things are. Okay, so when we do nominal GDP, we don't need to worry about price changes. Okay, so when we look at 2016's nominal GDP, okay, you take the 20 iPhones that each cost $100 and add it together, that would end up being $200 added to our, $2,000 added to our GDP. And then when we look at oranges, we have 50 oranges that were produced. Oops. Well, if my pen works. Oh, hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me pause this for a sec. Alrighty, let's try this one more time. Let's see how this goes. All right, there we go. When we take our oranges, 50 oranges that were made, times the price of oranges of 10, you end up with $500 worth of oranges made. From there, you add the two together, and the GDP was $2,500. Okay? When you do this for 2017, okay, you will see you do the exact same thing. 25 iPhones times $200 per iPhone equals $5,000 worth of iPhones made. Okay? From there, we look at oranges. We made 100 oranges times the price of oranges. Each one is $5 an orange. And you get $500, which when adding the two together ends up being $5,500. Quite an increase, right? An increase of almost $3,000. Okay? However, we know that this is not necessarily authentic because when you look at how the price changed, you can see that the price of an iPhone doubled and the price of an orange went down by half. So we actually have no idea if the economy actually grew or if the economy actually shrunk, which is where we need to use real GDP at, okay? So with real GDP, here is the rule you guys need to always use, okay? Whatever your first year is will be the base year's price, and you will use that price every single time, okay? So we could do 2018's real GDP and stuff as well. So here we go. I'll show you this, okay? So for 2016 will be our base year. So when we're looking at the real GDP of 2016, it is going to be exactly the same as the nominal GDP, right? Because we're going to always use the 2016 prices. So 20 times 100 equals 2,000. 50 oranges times the price of 10 equals $500. In total, the real GDP is $2,500. The key will be down here at the bottom, okay? Down, and we'll have to deal with this thing in the way. I'm sorry about that. But down here at the bottom is really the key to this whole part. Let's do the real GDP of 2017, okay? We are going to use the quantity from 2017, but we are going to multiply it, not by 2017's price. Don't want to do that. We want to measure it by 2016's price. Okay? So we're going to take 25 iPhones multiplied by the 2016 price of $100. In total, that will give us a $2,500 worth of iPhones. We want to do the same thing for oranges. So we take 100 oranges and we multiply it by 2016's price, not by 2017's price. So we take the 100 oranges, we multiply it times the 2016 price of 10, and it ends up equaling $1,000. Meaning when you add it all together, the real GDP of 2017 is $3,500. Now, please take a note of the difference and why this is so important. Okay? If you look at it, we believed under nominal GDP that we had a $5,500 GDP. In reality, our GDP is only $3,500. The economy still grew. It grew by $1,000, but we don't have the full amount of growth that we necessarily thought, which is good. Now we have a more accurate measurement. So when you're doing these, guys, the key is to know which number you need to multiply with. Okay? So when you need to multiply it, okay, remember that in the real GDP, you always want to go back to the base year's price. When you're doing nominal GDP, you want to go and use the current year's price. So what I want you to do right now is to try and do this on your own for 2018. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, as you figure it out, the nominal GDP of 2018 is 10,050, and the real GDP of 2018 is only 4,500. Okay, so try and figure those out. Try and see if you get those numbers. Okay, we are going to have a homework assignment doing this. I know math kind of sucks over the board like this, but it's just going to have to work, okay? So with that, that is where we will end today. I know this one was a little bit longer. Okay, please reach out with questions. I will try to find some supplemental materials other than just me to try and help you describe it. But with that, I need you guys to try it and do it yourselves and try and practice this, okay? So with that, that's where I'm going to close off at. So thank you guys for your attention. Sorry for some of the technical difficulties there. I've been trying to use something new. So with that, please let me know if you need any help, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.